You are listening to This is Oklahoma, hosted by Mike Hearn, telling stories of Oklahomans and those.
What's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of This is Oklahoma podcast. Mike Hearn here, your host, back with another episode. Excited to share this episode with you today, but before we do, I've got to thank our sponsors. First of all, the Oklahoma Hall of Fame. They've been a huge part of this podcast for the last few years. So, the Oklahoma Hall of Fame have been sharing Oklahoma's story through its people since 1927. For more information on the Oklahoma Hall of Fame, go to www.oklahomahof.com. And for daily updates, go to Oklahoma HOF on Instagram and give them a follow. Our other sponsor today is Chickasaw Nation. Now, the Chickasaw Nation have sponsored pretty much everything in Oklahoma. They're a huge supporter of Oklahoma. And it's an honor to have their name and their brand supporting this podcast. A huge shout out to Governor Anatobi for supporting this podcast. It really means a lot. Our third sponsor is Diffie Ford Lincoln down in El Reno. Now, this one makes me so happy because these guys are great friends of mine, play a lot of golf together. I've bought my cars from them, do most of my oil changes down there, have a cup of coffee, hang out down in El Reno. It's a good spot to go. And not only are they great friends, but they provide a great service. So for over 60 years, third generation family owned Oklahoma business down in El Reno. They're also in Bethany as well. So people in the Bethany area know the Diffies really well. But if you're looking for anything new, used, Ford, Lincoln, or whatever, I'm sure they could find anything you want. Check them out, diffieford.net, and then on Instagram at diffiefordlincoln. This episode is brought to you by the Doghouse OKC. Recently, I have been in need of some doggy daycare for my two pups, and the Doghouse have come in clutch. The team over there are incredible. They've taken care of my two golden doodles, and so it's been an honor to partner with them on the podcast and share the love. And the one thing that I do with the sponsors that I have is stuff that I use and recommend, like the Diffies with my car, Hall of Fame. They're awesome. Citizens Banks, where I bank. Chickasaw Nation, huge supporter of Oklahoma. And adding to that is the Doghouse. And so if you're in need of doggy daycare in the day or boarding overnight, they do grooming and other cool things too. But I've had a fantastic experience, and it's an honor and a privilege to share this with you too. So go to thedogHouseOKC.com and follow them on Instagram at thedogHouseOKC. And hopefully our pups will run into each other. I mean, with mine, I would be acting the same, and so they're just. What's your dog's name?
Willie Merle.
Willie Merle.
He's part Willie Nelson Merle Haggard. He's a country dog.
I love him.
From the mean streets that the Bella Foundation rescued. Oh. Probably after 5 minutes of being born. No mean streets for real.
How old is?
He'll be 11 on April Fool's Day.
Oh my gosh.
I got him like the last day, maybe a Sunday of the Paseo Arts Festival.
Yeah.
11 years ago, or almost 11 years ago.
Almost 11 years ago. Mm-hmm. Brilliant. Well, let's roll into it. Why not? Okay. Ladies, I guess let's just talk about the dog start with the dog conversation. Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, you are hearing Amy Young, who is our executive director, founder, the queen in charge of SixTwelve down in the Paseo Arts District. We have been here. We've done this before. I'm going to pull up when, because it was quite a while ago. It was 2019 that we did this podcast. And I probably should have looked at this before I put it. It was, June 4th of 2019, episode 64. I'm closing in on 700 right now. So it's been a while for both of us.
Congrats to you.
Thank you.
You've been working hard, too.
We've both been working hard. It's great to come back here. It's great to see this building doing so well, full of life. Obviously, the kids are running rampant around here and doing their things. And you've been doing this for quite a while now, so we're coming up on 10 years, and we have a party coming up, which we'll dive into.
10 years on Friday.
Which is wild, right? Amazing.
Went by in a blink.
Yeah, that's the scary part, right? As you look back and you're like, wait a second. 612's been here 10 years.
I'm kind of grateful. Well, I'm incredibly grateful for all of the experiences. There are some phases that I was okay with moving through quickly. But I wouldn't trade any of it because it's such an honor to get to see your own dreams come true and to envision something from the time that you're 8 years old. And I just walk around now saying thank you.
Right. And you've moved in here too?
I have. In 2021, I sold my house and moved in because we'd been closed for 6 months, and was a little bit scary, for everybody, and I didn't know what we would be doing I didn't know what I would do if I didn't do this, because this is my dream, But I moved in upstairs, paid off the loan for SixTwelve, made sure that we wouldn't have that overhead to worry about, and pretty much restructured everything. All of my staff felt really empowered to go start their own businesses, which was great. And then my board, of course, had been with me for so long that they were tired too, and everybody was struggling in some way during that time. So we have a whole new staff, we have a whole new board, well, almost a whole new board. We have a few members that are from the original group, and they've been very gracious to move with me through it and my ideas for the things that I wanted to do. So I'm very grateful.
It's amazing. I love it. For people listening who haven't listened to our previous episode and don't know you, give us a recap. Tell us a little bit about kind of who you are, what you do, your story, and then the dream, like you said, that when you're an 8-year-old, to have this location that you have today, and why we have 612.
So I taught elementary school music for 8 years in Norman, Oklahoma, and I loved it. I loved the kids. I loved the experience of being an educator, the honor of being a teacher. I just feel like it's my calling, along with singing and music. But while I was doing it, I kept thinking of what I would do if I had my own place. So I just kept a list of all the things I would do differently. And I went back to school for art history after teaching and went to work at the Oklahoma City Museum of Art for about 4 years as an education curator to get admin experience. And also that was an honor to get to work at that museum too, with the best people. But it all kept culminating and building towards this. My mom told me when I was 8 that I came to her and told her I wanted to have a one-room schoolhouse, and I joked that I was probably watching too much Little House on the Prairie. But it was really fun the night that we opened 10 years ago. It was February 7th. I remember her coming to me and telling me about that memory, and of course I didn't remember it, but I knew that I had been choosing everything I'd done through my life, even from extracurricular activities in high school, because this is what I wanted to do, and I wanted to give myself every opportunity to learn how to do it. So in 2010, in January 2010, we found this building that was about to be torn down. About a week later, it was supposed to be torn down, so we got a really good deal. I think we paid $20,000 for the building and the lot that it's on. And then I worked through the next year to get the lot next door, which was a whole lot more than that, even vacant, because they knew they had us. But together, it's still just such a great deal. And Bank First gave us a loan, and we went to work about renovating. It took 5 years to rezone it with the city and renovate. But it was worth it. And then in 2015, we opened with a Mardi Gras ball. So here we are 10 years later. We're going to celebrate with a Mardi Gras ball. I felt like that was the best way to bring back what we were known for. And also the thing I love about it is its focus is on community and on the arts, especially music. During the 2020 quarantine times, we were supposed to have a residency in Savannah with Penny from Broncho and her own solo project, Labris, and then a guy named Jake Ingalls from Space Face, and at the time with The Lips. And we decided to do a virtual project called Building Together, which is that's the album cover right there, where we partnered with a group called Swap Meet Inc. on the Northeast side, and our kids, both organizations' kids, wrote music, and then we got bands to record it and do the album. And that, plus all the Instagram psychology we were seeing at the time about, hey, time is not guaranteed, life is short, do what you're passionate about, with the staff leaving and the board leaving and rebuilding it all together, I chose that as my time to just focus on the things I wanted to, especially moving in. We'd had a preschool for 6 years, and I was so grateful to get to do that. But I knew when I moved in, we weren't going to want to have people in here 24/7. So I let the preschool go, brought the after-school program back, because then we could open it up to kids that we'd had from any of our programs, pre-K, camp, after school, whatever. And that meant that we could also work with kids that we'd known since they were 3 years old. And we still have some now that are 11, 12 years old that we've been working with all this time. And we did continue to have after school program and pre-K online during the quarantine, which is ridiculous. Pre-K online is just, hysterical. It's kids jumping up and down on the couch or the bed in front of a computer. But we stayed consistent. We still met with them, had presence in their life so that they knew we cared. There was something consistent, and then they could come back whenever it was safe. And I was focused more on this after-school program. We shifted our residency program to mainly focus on musicians and music and songwriting, recording, mixing, mastering, all of that, and touring now. And I've worked for 5 years to bring that back up to a place where we could open it up to musicians from LA and Savannah to come here, or Oklahoma City musicians to go out. So we're going to have 3 residencies at least. It depends on how much money we raise at the Mardi Gras ball coming up. But I asked the board for an extra $50,000 in our budget this year to be able to do it. So we had to do something big to fundraise. And I felt like, heck, we don't know what's going to happen with this country and this world. And so let's celebrate while we can.
Yeah.
Because 10 years is a huge accomplishment, especially after the last 5 of ducking and weaving. Any small business owner, I think, would tell you the same. And I'm really proud of what we've done. However long it goes beyond this is just gravy,
Yeah.
But it's been really fun to watch it evolve, because I feel like I've evolved at the same time, setting new boundaries, speaking up for what I really love and what I want. And I think that's only translated to a better energy within this building and welcoming people in.
Yeah.
Because really all we're trying to do is support community and support the arts, and kids being the center of it.
Yeah.
So it all benefits them.
Brilliant. Where does your love of music and love of teaching come from?
Well, my grandmother was a teacher. My mom was a teacher. My sister went to school for education. I went to school for education. When I was little, I used to have kids, my friends, come over, and instead of playing house, I'd get all the retired textbooks from the school and try to make them play school, and they didn't want to do that much, especially after school. But I think it was just always in my blood. And music, my mom, we're a very musical family. My brother is a drummer, and he tours all the time. Plays with a band called the White Lighters right now, but played with the Damn Quails for a while, and is kind of a staple on Monday nights at the deli, And my sister-in-law is Camille Harp, who's also a musician, and they play a lot together. But I sing, and I haven't sung a lot recently because I've been just trying to figure out how to be a savvy business lady for the past 10 years. But it's starting to come out of me. I'm learning to play drums right now. I've been taking lessons for about a year, and that's super fun. I don't know if I'll ever play in front of anyone, but
You have played in front of somebody, though,
well,
right?
I did with the Sugar Free All-Stars. Let me play on their drum last summer, and that was like a highlight of my life.
Yeah.
I used to sing professionally. I went to school. I had my degrees in music ed with vocal performance emphasis, and I love it. I did sing at jazz night at the Speakeasy right before Christmas, and that's the first time I've sung publicly in years. It was so fun. And so I feel like that's coming back. And I think it's important for artists and musicians that are teachers to continue to do those things, because that translates into your teaching as well, what you're sharing.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's been a while, but I love it. And I sang my first solo, I think, in the 5th grade, I think a Carpenter's song. and on top of the world, and I was hooked. I just knew this was what I enjoyed and loved. But 612 is like what I could give back. Because my life has just been a beautiful, beautiful life with the most wonderful parents and family, education, travel, exploration, and I wanted to share those things with people as much as I could. And we've had a good run so far.
Yeah, right. With you choosing to go into drums, did your brother playing drums have a kind of part in that?
But I think it was always something that was inside me.
Okay.
I would be drumming not knowing what I was doing. Yeah. Of course, like in the car and sitting at a stoplight or whatever. I joked about how I used to drum with my teeth, which maybe is why my teeth are so bad. Just, moving them around to music and stuff. I just didn't have the guts to go for it until recently. And I also, now that I'm living here, there's enough space for a drum room and enough space to not bother anybody if I'm playing. Yeah. I got an electric drum kit for Christmas for my family, so I can put the headphones on and hopefully not terrorize the whole neighborhood. But it's so fun. And I have the best teacher, Ryan McGuire. He's from a band, Twigs. He plays with Coat. He plays with Isabella Burns. He's just a wonderful teacher. And I knew, much like I knew about the residents that we've had for the last 10 years, I knew that we would get along based on how I reacted to their art.
Yeah.
And I knew Ryan would be a good teacher based on the way he drums. And it's been fantastic.
Yeah.
The best thing I do for myself all week.
And I mean, not just mentally, but like physically too, right? Drumming's not easy, right?
Not.
And it's a great workout.
I need to get in shape.
Yeah. And also if you have any frustrations, like banging sticks against round bins is kind of an easy way to get your frustration out too.
There was one day recently that I'm like, I need to step away or I'm going to hurt myself. But to have that outlet too is just a privilege, and to even know what you're doing to where it doesn't make you feel bad for how bad you sound too. I know I can keep a steady beat. I know I need to work with the metronome a whole lot more. But I could sit down and play with some people and not totally embarrass myself if it's simple. And the act of making music and making your own joy, I keep hearing joy is the greatest resistance. And I also hear that learning to play the drums can help you avoid Alzheimer's because you're developing new neural pathways in your brain between your body, doing different things at the same time. I'm actively working against hopefully not having
all of those things. Yeah. Tell me about the love and kind of, and you mentioned Savannah earlier and potentially having a spot in Savannah, and then that love, and also then you're Oklahoma and you have the Oklahoma tie and obviously want to be here. Yes. So there's a decision to continually be here versus Savannah's beautiful.
It is beautiful and it's very tempting. Yeah. And there have been times I will end up there someday. Yeah. I have a tiny little 900 it's not tiny, but a 900 square foot home. And when I'm not there, I send residents there to create Christian Saville from Slow Dive and a guy named Ryan Manon, who has Grave Face Records in Savannah, have recorded 2 albums in my little house. Our first music residents that we sent down there were Nick and Matt. Matt's from the Flaming Lips, and Nick was in color music and the Lips, and just he's one of the strongest drummers, and now is on our board, Nicholas Lay, so he's helped us a ton from the beginning. One of the best people I know. They wrote an album down there. I'm trying to think. Carly Gwynn from Carly Gwynn and the Sin and my so-called band. She's been down there. But I found it 30 years ago. I started going in 1994 because I was engaged to a guy that I broke the wedding off with, right before. But I fell in love with Savannah and could not quit going. And in 2012, I chose my master's thesis topic on what would allow me to live there for a month and research there in Charleston. I would not suggest that to anyone who has to write a really long paper based on a topic it's more about the location. But I met so many friends there that I still see whenever I go. They're like another family. And there's magic in the Low Country. I think that the Gullah Geechee heritage, the African tribe that was there, brought there illegally, they are the magic. I think that's the history. I mean, it's the water, it's the marshlands, it's the food, it's the canopy of live oak trees and the architecture, largest historic district in the country. The people are really welcoming and nice, but I think it's that history of magic that makes it all kind of glue together, you know? And it's a beautiful thing to be able to observe another artistic community because they have the Savannah College of Art and Design there. One of my best good friends has a gallery there. Another has a brewery. Another has a real estate company. And another one is just this magnificent artist. And we have been getting together every other month for the last, well, I guess it's now almost 12 years. So I feel lucky because I can learn things from that community and bring them back, and I can take things there, just ideas, you know. But I have been sending people back and forth for the last 10 years to give people an opportunity to get out of their own hometown, exhibit their art or music, create without distraction, have what they need. We pay them for their travel and their food and all of it. And that was a really good way of getting to know the community, too, and being a part of it. We're getting ready. Well, we just opened up the music applications to people from LA as well, which is a first. And so we'll probably end up having an exchange with LA over the course of the next 5 years, as long as everything goes according to plan. But my whole intention is to support the arts as much as possible. Because I believe that we need creative thinkers in order to solve the issues that are at hand. And it's going to be different things that we haven't thought of yet.
Yeah, no, I agree. And as you're like, you know, you're learning more of the business side, like you said, and you've always been a creative, whether it's music or art or writing or expression in any other way. But when you think of the business side, you know, it's not just black and white and numbers. Like there's context and there's creativity in that gray that you need. Someone who is creative, regardless of what form. The creativity spans such a wide variety of things, didn't it? And so, even just having a business owner that like understands rhythm and music, you know, or painting or whatever it is, it makes a huge difference. And maybe
those are different neural pathways. You know, one of my friends and I joke about how we need more crayons, more colors in the crayon box than just black and white. And we want that. I mean, I don't want to walk around in a black and white world. For one thing, it's not true. You know, we all exist on a spectrum in many, many ways. And meeting people where they are, loving them where they are, welcoming where they are, who they are, that's just the basis. If you don't do that, you're never going to reach people. You're never going to change things for them or empower them to change things for themselves. Yeah. And that's what I really want. And that's why we work with kids and adults and community. I mean, it's very different and I don't want to say diminished programmatically than what we had before the pandemic, because in some ways we're interacting with community more with our First Friday music shows, with our community events that are free, or even like the Mardi Gras Ball. But everything's integrated. The local residents that come in work with the kids, so they share their knowledge with them. My dream is to have 2 music residencies at the same time that interact with each other and serve the community. It's just all important to revolve around each other and support, because that's how community is built. Yeah. And that's what I think is the answer for at least the next foreseeable future is community being there for each other and serving each other and helping them find access to the things that they need.
Yeah. Was it, over the last 10 years, I would assume, sadly, with the state of education in Oklahoma, that it wasn't hard for you to find people to come here and go to school here and have parents who are like, I want my kid to go here. It's probably the
I think
opposite.
had I been better at advertising, it probably would have been a little bit more of a wait list. But especially when the schools closed, we had people wanting to be here. I never take more than 10 kids per class. Because that was one of the things on my list of things I would do differently if I had my own school. We would have lots of individual attention for the kids and the resources they needed. And so, I never took more than that. And that's difficult, too, for fundraising because you don't get a lot of grants for people or for organizations that are serving small numbers. But the kids that did come here were the ones that needed that individual attention. They needed to be outside in nature. They needed to be running. They needed to be Montessori-based choices, things that they had more say and autonomy over what they were doing with their day and long periods of time to actually work through their works. And it's all an experiment, and from the lesson plans and what works all the way to the structure of the whole organization. And you have to be malleable now. You have to be able to move with it and change with it. People keep asking me how the current, political climate is changing things, and my answer is we'll see. I'm committed. I haven't taken a paycheck in 15 years. I do this because I love it, and I will give all the money that I can to it. But that means I can't turn around and take it back out, or it looks like I'm setting up a tech shelter or a laundering business, and that's not something I want to do, or draw attention to, or even appear that we're doing.
Right.
But to me, I think I'm the lucky one because I actually know what I'm passionate about. I think there's a lot of people out there that don't know what they want, don't know what to do. And that's another reason for doing this, helping people find their passion, supporting their passion, giving them encouragement, money, time. Those things, energy, time, and money are the most valuable resources. But I'm committed. I'm all in. If something happens and we can't be a nonprofit anymore, we'll figure out how to move forward as a for-profit. I hope that doesn't happen because that's going to be a lot of work to restructure a whole thing. But we did it 5 years ago. We restructured. We can do it again.
Yeah.
I think that just knowing what you believe in, what you want to do, if you've got the opportunity to do it, you got to keep doing it.
Yeah. Yeah, because you're the one that's got to look yourself in the mirror when you wake up every morning, right? And,
yes.
and there's regret is very powerful.
Yes.
And every time there's so many occasions out there you talk to the older generation or your grandparents or parents or however, when they get to a certain age, there's that age-old question, right? Would you regret anything? And it's always like not doing what I wanted to do or should have done or taking a chance or a risk.
Yes.
And if you're fortunate enough, you can do that.
That I can. My dad and I had a conversation a couple of days ago about, no matter what happens, I have gotten to do what I wanted to do with only a board. I mean, that's my boss, and I don't mean only a board, but I mean, they support me and they believe in my dreams. So I'm very lucky to get to say, I think this is the direction we should go, and to have the support to go that way.
Yeah.
Whatever happens, I've been the luckiest person on the face of the planet, and if it ended tomorrow, I would just go home and take care of my parents, and I would still be the luckiest person on the planet.
Yeah.
So I don't want it to end. I'm so grateful to get to experience a 10-year anniversary. It's going to be so much fun. We have the best bands, Broncho and the King Cabbage Brass Band, and then Bump Worldwide is doing the DJ.
Okay.
And these are people that I love personally, people that have, Broncho, I know Penny, because she works for us, and they were on the album. King Cabbage is a little bit new.
Are they based out of Tulsa?
Yes.
Yeah, I saw them at the Mid-South weekend in March last year. There's something about brass bands.
Oh my gosh, I know.
And they're hilarious
They're
too,
so
right?
fun.
Like,
I know. We had the New Breed brass band come up from New Orleans. I guess it was maybe, what year is this now?
25.
I know.
Yeah.
Maybe 2019,
Yeah.
I think. But then in 2020, we had Space Bass and Latin Mojo from Oklahoma. This year, I wanted to see if we could focus on just Oklahoma musicians. And I'm so grateful that we have a brass band that is blowing up. They're doing so well. And I'm so excited for them. And Broncho, they did me the kindest favor. I cried the day that they posted about the ball because they chose that post to not only advertise the ball and say nice things about us, but to hint at the fact that they were coming back after so many years of being, on hiatus. Ryan had a baby or two and life, you know. But when does this come out? I
mean, we can put this out whenever.
Okay.
We can put this out tomorrow since it's going to be 10 years. So we're recording
that
Thursday.
would be
We can
so
put this out
great.
tomorrow's Friday. Yeah, so today is the 10th year anniversary.
Well, they were hinting at a new album. I'll just say that.
Great.
And hinting at maybe getting out there. Touring.
Getting back into it.
Yeah. I'll let them reveal their own
Has
news.
it always been like your event every year has always been just like a kind of a show as far as like a music? Or
Well,
not?
I've always focused on the music because that's what I love. But it's food from Cam's Cookery. It is face painting. We have the most hilarious actress getting ready to do tarot readings. Mainly, it's been a fundraiser, like normal, with people sitting and eating
An
and
auction
gathering
and all the stuff.
and
Yeah,
music
yeah.
going in the background. The difference now is that I'm hoping, and I think for sure with Broncho, because we're going to have them start around the 9:30 area time period. There'll be more of just a show,
Yeah.
But I guess I should also say that we're going to release a lower price point on the tickets for just the Broncho show on Valentine's Day.
Yeah.
So if people can't afford the $100 ticket, they can at least come and pack the house for Broncho, because I want these musicians to have really good energy and good crowd too. So if anyone's listening, there's your hint.
It's coming
Be on
soon.
the lookout.
Yeah.
I just want people to come and celebrate. I was thinking when I first started planning this, like, even if, we didn't raise a ton of money, at least we're celebrating 10 years. But we're doing pretty great. We've raised more in sponsorships this year than we've ever raised with the entire event before. We used to do online fundraising where kings and queens or kings and kings could, do competitive fundraising online. But everybody's dollars are so tight right now that if people will just buy a ticket, then that'll help us a lot to do these music residencies this summer.
Yeah, everyone's competing, right? Like everyone's competing, and everyone's trying to be different. And how many fundraisers have we been to that's just dry chicken and a Bob Stoops signed football, and
it's gonna be so
like we need to change it up a little bit.
Yes. I think it's mainly just going to be people gathering and having fun.
Yeah, good.
And I hope so anyway. And hopefully we're going to also, tomorrow night, we're going to have, or tonight if you're watching this on Friday, we're going to have a free reunion during First Friday here at 612 for people that can't afford to go but want to celebrate, where we're going to have a harpist, Hannah Helbig, will be here. We're going to have Valentine's making in the classroom. Anybody can make them. And typewriter poetry with Brittany B. Cordera. And from 6:30 to 9 during First Friday.
Yeah.
And then we'll pick up our music series in...
And you've always had that First Friday social?
We used to have it every First Friday, and then with the pandemic, of course, we closed. And now we do 3 music shows in the spring and 3 in the fall. We finally learned our lesson about fighting the weather and COVID in the winter. We're not going to do that. And I was the one that got COVID that made us, I went to that King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard show at the Criterion back 2-3 years ago, and everybody got COVID there. That was the first time for me, and I had to cancel our First Friday show. I felt like a true boss. I felt bad. but I learned, and
Yeah.
so it's really fun too, because in the spring we have Stepmom, JB, and Bo Jennings, with support from Yasmin for Stepmom, Nos Green for JB, and a new band, Compost Adjacent,
Okay.
that are kind of bluegrass folk, opening for Bo Jennings. And I love it because I feel like the word's getting out for this teeny tiny stage that's part of the outdoor classroom that we built in 2020, so we could have pre-K outside all day long, and the kids could have a place to perform or whatever. But we cram a whole bands up there on that little stage, and it's so fun because it's outside. If the weather's bad, we'll do it inside. But it's building. You know, it takes time. If you completely restructure your business after being closed for a while, it takes 3 or 4 years to build it back. It takes 6 years for a business not to be a startup, and that's when the pandemic hit and kind of knocked us back to go. So I'm grateful, whatever happens, that we are at least now known, because we can do more for people.
Yeah.
We can bring more community in. We can bring more dollars in for these artists. We can do more for everybody if people know about us and what we're doing. But it just takes time.
It does, but it's consistency, time, but also it's your dream, right? And you're going to work harder at it than anybody else.
Nobody is going to work like I am or love it like I do. But I will say we have the greatest staff and we have the greatest board, and they make it fun, and they challenge me. They hold me accountable, which of course you want that too. They show up. My staff, I've always been really lucky with staff in that there's not a lot of days off, you know, except for Penny, who's off performing in the coolest places right now, and I'm so excited for her. But you kind of have to say, well, if your whole mission is to support musicians and artists, and your own staff member gets these opportunities, you've got to support that too, you know? But I think it's that mutual respect and support that makes it work here too.
Yeah. So the event's 22nd of February?
February 22nd at Tower Theater from 7 to 11, unless you buy a half-price ticket on Valentine's Day, which will be more like 9 to 11. We have... a Date with Iris is doing the flowers, and SNL photo booth, and we've been getting a lot like cams and these vendors that I just hired just in the last week, calling and saying, hey, we want to give you a discount and sponsor this thing, and I just cried. I'm just so grateful, because you can do these things alone if you have the resources to do it. But it means so much more to the entire experience in the community if community's buying into it and supporting, and it's beautiful.
Yeah.
It makes my whole day.
Finishing up then, let's talk about some of the highlights over the last 10 years. What stands out for you as personal highlights, not just highlights of SixTwelve in general?
I think the kids still being here from the time they're 3 until they're 11 now. To me, that's the greatest compliment, and getting to watch them grow up and for them to know that I love them unconditionally. I mean, if we don't have people like that in our kids' lives, then it's going to be harder for them. They need safe places to go where they know that they're supported. And then, of course, the musicians that I just respect and listen to and admire, getting to work with them and them respecting what I do too. I mean, it is such a huge compliment. Getting to see this kitchen built, I dreamt of that thing for 9 years, and finally having a place where we can teach the kids, and we've had adult workshops too. But I think evolving personally to a place where I can actually enjoy all of it instead of being nervous about it all the time, and knowing that I can trust myself to make big, hard decisions and make sacrifices. I don't know, there's just something beautiful about growing older and aging whenever you get to realize you're in your own way sometimes, and then letting go of those blocks. I want to do it as long as I can.
It's awesome. That kitchen is epic, by the
Thank
way.
you. Thank
As
you.
someone in the real estate space, when I walked in here last week, I was like, I love this kitchen.
Thank you.
And I'm a terrible cook as well. I just love the aesthetic
I am
of
the
it.
worst, but
Yeah.
I have no excuse now. You know? I get in there and make. It's hysterical to go to the store and bring home things like pasta that you can just throw and be like gourmet. But if I feed myself, I'm proud of myself.
Yeah. Well, that's the struggle of being down here is you have so many great restaurants in this area.
And I love them all.
They're so good.
Oh my gosh, Humankind Restaurants joked about it during quarantine times how I kept Picasso's alive. But I cannot claim to have that as my intention. It was just I love their food.
My last question, and this is very unique in your situation because my last question is tied to real estate because of my job, and I always ask people, what is your dream house? What is your dream house? And like non-negotiable, no money to worry about. Just if you could have your dream house. We're sat in it right now, which is the first time it's happened when I asked that question. So it's a really unique answer. I'm excited to hear about kind of how you take that. But I mean, this, it is something you dreamt about since you're 8 years old, and you're in it, and you've been in it for, quite some time now.
The really strange thing is that in Norman, when I was teaching and I was dreaming about it, I had a house picked out down there that I would do it in if I did it in Norman. But the inside of what I never went in it, I just drove by it. I envisioned what the inside would look, and it looked like this. So I believe that this timeline is what I'm supposed to be on.
Yeah.
It's so wild.
It's amazing. For people listening that obviously they're aware of 612. If they aren't aware, and this is the first time they're hearing about it, and they're young parents, or they think about wanting to get their kids involved, or just come to First Friday, what's the best way to do that?
They can find it on our website, which is 612, spelled out SixTwelve.org, or our social media. We have everything on there. 612 OKC for Facebook or Instagram. You can find everything. You can apply to be in our after-school program, and we still have a couple of spots. So.
Brilliant. And then hopefully you'll get to hear Amy sing and play the drums live one day. It's going to happen.
I'll let you know.
Yeah. Well, I mean, how did it... All right, last question.
Okay.
How did it feel when you did get up on stage and started singing since it's been so long? Did it just flood back?
Yes. It was
Tingles, the whole feeling? Just,
exciting.
I'm back.
It was so fun. We sang Santa Claus is Coming to Town because it was the Christmas one, and I grabbed that mic and belted, which my teachers would have been pissed. But I had the best time with it.
Yeah.
It's kind of like you think, this isn't a common experience, so live it up. And this man came over to me afterwards and said, please come back. We don't have that many singers at Jazz Night. I'm like, if other people will let me come back, I'll do it, but we'll see. I hope I get to do it again.
Brilliant. Well, I hope people take a lesson away from this as far as chase your dreams, go after what you want. Life is short, and you won't regret chasing after something, even if you don't pull it off and it ends up in something that's not successful, and you
grow.
We fail, but you grow, and you learn about it, and you will never regret it. So for people listening, I'll post the links to 612 in the description, the link to the party, which is February 22nd at Tower Theatre, and thank you so much for listening. Amy, thank you so much for having me again, and we'll catch you next episode. Cheers.
Thank you.
Hope you guys enjoyed that great episode. Thank you so much for listening. As always, huge shout out to our sponsors, the Oklahoma Hall of Fame, sharing Oklahoma story through its people since 1927. For more information on the Oklahoma Hall of Fame, go to www.oklahomahof.com and follow them on Instagram for daily updates at oklahomahof. Our other sponsor, the Chickasaw Nation, amazing sponsor. They do amazing things for the state, and they're always sponsoring something in Oklahoma. They're a huge supporter of Oklahoma, and without their support, we wouldn't be able to do what we do. And our third sponsor is Diffie Ford Lincoln down in El Reno. Now, this one makes me so happy because these guys are great friends of mine, play a lot of golf together. I've bought my cars from them, do most of my oil changes down there, have a cup of coffee, hang out down in El Reno. It's a good spot to go. And not only are they great friends, but they provide a great service. So for over 60 years, third generation family owned Oklahoma business down in El Reno. They're also in Bethany as well. So people in the Bethany area know the Diffees really well. But if you're looking for anything new, used, Ford, Lincoln, or whatever, I'm sure they could find anything you want. Check them out, diffeeford.net, and then on Instagram at diffeefordlincoln. This episode is brought to you by the Doghouse OKC. Recently, I have been in need of some doggy daycare for my 2 pups, and the Doghouse have come in clutch. The team over there are incredible. They've taken care of my 2 golden doodles, and so it's been an honor to partner with them on the podcast and share the love. And the one thing that I do with the sponsors that I have is stuff that I use and recommend, like the Diffees with my car, Hall of Fame. They're awesome. Chickasaw Nation, huge supporter of Oklahoma. And adding to that is the Doghouse. And so if you're in need of doggy daycare in the day or boarding overnight, they do grooming and other cool things too. But I've had a fantastic experience, and it's an honor and a privilege to share this with you too. So go to thedogHouseOKC.com and follow them on Instagram at thedogHouseOKC. And hopefully our pups will run into each other.
Thank you for listening. We are inspired by those around us and hope that you are too. Make sure you subscribe to this podcast on your favorite podcast platform and leave us a review so we can keep telling your stories. For more great Oklahoma content, follow This Is Oklahoma on Facebook and Instagram.